In Sulphur Springs, a grand jury indicted one Gerald Barnes. The charge was embezzlement of city funds and theft by false pretense. Barnes was to go on trial here last week, but he never made it. The case, strangely, was passed to the next court docket sometime in February. Some in Sulphur Springs say Gerald Barnes will never go on trial. To quote them, if he gets on that stand, he's going to blow the lid off City Hall. I have just spent 2 weeks in Sulphur Springs trying to find out what indeed is under that lid. I investigated the activities of the city operation here over the past 3 years. The irregularities I found were numerous and often flagrant. They were, in fact, numerous enough until it is impossible to detail them in one newscast. For that reason, I am doing a series of reports from Sulphur Springs. The first one runs tonight at 10, and they will be continued tomorrow night. From Sulphur Springs, this is Tommy Ayres reporting for Channel 8 News.
Innocent. Added that it was now proved conclusively that Simmons was guilty. How? He tried to escape, and according to the judge, no innocent man would try this.
That was August 1st, 1962. Simmons and 2 Mexican prisoners decided to break out.
Well, I've been in this prison since October 16, 1959. I grew desperate. So the guards here are paid about $40 a month. They're money hungry. I approached and I tell him, I want a key made to fit the lock on number 4 guard tower. The guard towers are entered from the inside here, not the outside. And I would like a small firearm to protect myself. August 1st dawn. Hot, hot, hot. We go out to number 4 guard tower. The guards are asleep. Being inexperienced at jailbreaking, I had failed to disarm the guards. So Arturo, who was with me, he reached over and took it. As a part of this escape plan, the guards had stated that they would have the bars of guard tower number 4 stalled.
There's this Sunday afternoon is one who stands out in the crowd. He is different. He is Norte Americano. He is Dykes Askew Simmons Jr., a native of Fort Worth, Texas, who came to Mexico for a week's vacation in 1959. Since that time, he has been confined here. If his sentence were to be carried out, Dykes Simmons would be conveyed to a public square in Monterrey. And there, in public view, he would be tied to a stake with his back to a stone wall, and his body would be laced with bullets. Dykes Simmons has been sentenced to death held by the Federal Supreme Court, Mexico's highest tribunal. Yet State Department files contain the information that another of Monterrey's El Penal to cry out to all who would listen, and is now practicing medicine in Houston, Texas. For all these years, then, Dykes Simmons has been...
In 1963, the city of Sulphur Springs gained a degree of distinction by building this city hall and actually paying for it with cash. This week, the same city ran off its annual budget on a mimeograph machine. City manager Harry Nagel said the city simply did not have enough money to send it out to a professional printer. The city of Sulphur Springs is in bad financial shape, he admits. I have just spent 2 weeks in Sulphur Springs investigating rumors of irregularities in the city operation, and there are many over the past 3 years. The ones I found range from misapplication of city bond money to rather strange statements for repair work on city vehicles, which according to record do not even exist. I found trucks missing from the city inventory without any notation of their disposition, and I found a $625 tractor mower sold by a city employee, a department head, for $60. One strange case was the case of the 14 white sidewall tires purchased for police department, which uses only black walls. Nobody seems to know whatever happened to the white walls. Among the equipment I found purchased by the city, but missing, was an air conditioning unit from the water plant. Also missing from that same water plant was a washing machine bought by the city but never delivered. One source told me a city employee simply took it home. On a somewhat larger scale, I found an undetermined quantity of structural steel belonging to the city was sold, yet the city never received any money for it. Somewhat petty, but perhaps significant in viewing the whole picture in the case, is the case of the missing shotgun shells. It seems the city of Sulphur Springs purchased 10 boxes of 20-gauge shotgun shells for a police department which has only 12-gauge shotguns. However, in all fairness, it should be pointed out that at the same time the city did purchase a case of 12-gauge shells, but if the Sulphur Springs police used them, they became probably the first officers on record to ever pursue criminals with birdshot. I will continue this report tomorrow. I intend to go into details on some of these irregularities, including the purchase of a $38,000 tractor grader, apparently without competitive bids. I'll go into the background which spawned the situation and try to tell what is, and perhaps more importantly, what is not being done to correct it. Tommy Ayres reporting for Channel 8 News from Sulphur Springs.
What happened was that some students approached me on campus the other day at our Gentle Friday from the high school and asked me to do press releases for them and tell them, exactly what they should do because they weren't really aware how to do a movement or a walkout without having violence or something like this. So I gave them my advice and helped them write some, well, not petitions, but some sheets explaining their situation, and explaining why they were doing these things. And then they asked me to conduct a teach-in in the park, and keep the kids so that they wouldn't be running around hitting anybody or having fights, and keep them sort of nonviolent, maybe get them all together so they'd go back to class maybe after 15, 25 minutes, after they proved their point. We're trying to collect $2,100 bail for Matt Johnson. They've got, something like $8,000 or a little over that. And we need to get the monies to get him out of jail, because when Ernie McMillan left, the bail bondsman, took away Matt's bail and canceled it, and he went back to jail. And we'd like to see him get out, so we're trying to get the $10,000.
Governor, there's been much ado about an alleged quarrel between you and Senator Yarborough over whether you will or will not attend his banquet tonight. Will you attend it?
I am going to make the speech that I had scheduled some 4 months to the Mobile Management Association. Then after that speech, I'm going by Senator Yarborough's appreciation dinner and greet him. I really don't think there's been any conflict whatsoever between Senator Yarborough and myself. Senator Yarborough's office issued a release. I was going to be one of the principal speakers when I had never been asked to speak.
Well, I didn't invite anyone. The Dallas committee did all of the inviting. I've invited no person.
Do you?
I haven't personally invited it. Oh, I did, yes. I invited one, yes, Senator Mondale, the one, the Speaker from the Senate.
I don't think this was Senator Yarborough's fault, and I really think this has been really a lot of hullabaloo about nothing, because I think Senator Yarborough understands exactly about my prior commitment. I certainly understand the reason why that he asked me to attend the dinner, and I'm going to go by and pay my respects.
There has been speculation that Lieutenant Governor Barnes might run against you for your Senate seat the next time it's up for re-election. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm not against anything. Anybody can run for anything they want to. I'll get interested after January if I want to run for re-election.
I'm a long way from making my decision. I think it's probably going to be around Christmas sometime before I determine what my political plans, if I have any political plans for 1970, are going to be.
Would you support Senator Yarborough for that seat?
If Senator Yarborough is the Democratic nominee, I would certainly support him. I have always supported the Democratic ticket, being a Democrat. I worked with Senator Yarborough, Governor Connolly, and former President Johnson.
Your group met last night. What did you decide to do?
Well, since the moral aspect is already down the drain, and they don't seem to consider that at all, we now will have to go into political aspect, and for that we have hired and secured the services of one of the larger public relations firms in Fort Worth, and we expect a tremendous campaign politically.
Do you also anticipate the possibility of a legal battle?
Oh yes, if we are unsuccessful in our political campaign and we can't educate the people of Fort Worth to the realization of what's going on out there, and nobody seems to care, then yes, we have the best legal counsel in town, and we will sue as a group rather than as individuals.